Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On this occasion, I will explain about Implicature, Maxim, Cooperative Conversation in Pragmatics. So, because only one speaker is needed to explain this material, I represent the productive group to present it. Before that, I will introduce the members of this group. My name is Nurhayati as the speaker, and the other members are Nur Fadilah, Nirma, and Jumriati. So guys, let's jump to the material. The first is implicator. What is implicator? In pragmatics, conversational implicator is the intention contained in an utterance, but it is less or not stated directly. Implicator has several parts. The first part is conversational implicator. In this conversational implicator, there is a standard implicator. A standard implicator is the conversational implicator based on an addresses assumption that the speaker is being cooperative by directly observing the conversational maxims. In the following exchange, assumes that B is being cooperative, truthful, adequately informative, relevant, and clear. And then, particularized versus generalized implicator. Conversational implicators that arise only in specific contexts are called particularized, while those that are not or only slightly context dependent are generalized. Many of the examples above rely on some context, making them particularized implicators. Is thus, war is war, can refer to different properties of war or things expected to happen during war, depending on the situation in which it is uttered. Prototypical example of generalized implicator are the scalar implicators. Particularized implicator are by far the more common kind. And the second is implicator in relevance theory. That is the principle of relevance. Both explicators and implicators follow from the communicative principle of relevance, which unlike Grace's cooperative principle is not optional, but it always is forced whenever someone communicates. And then it is descriptive of, not prescriptive for, communicative acts. Consequently, implicator can arise even if or precisely because the communicator is uncooperative. Relevant theory can therefore effortlessly account for the above example about Gerard. If B knows where Gerard lives and somewhere in the south of France is the most relevant answer compatible with B's reference, it follows that B is unwilling to disclose his knowledge. The third is conventional implicator. Conventional implicators, briefly introduced but never elaborated on by Grace, are independent of the cooperative principle and the four maxims. They are instead tied to the conventional meaning of certain particles and phrase, such as but, although, however, nevertheless, moreover, anywhere, anyway, whereas, after all, even, yet, still, and beside. Verbs such as deprived, spare, and possible also to grammatical structure. Such words and phrases are also said to trigger conventional implicator. In addition, They are not divisible but have the force of entailment. Next is Maxim. First is definition of Maxim. The Pragmatist Maxim, also known as the Maxim of Pragmatism or the Maxim of Pragmaticism, is a maxim of logic formulated by Charles Sanders Peirce, serving as a normative recommendation or regulative principle in the normative science of logic. Its function is to guide to conduct of thought toward the achievement of this purpose, advising on an optional way of attaining clearness of apprehension. Here are 4 more specific maxims that Grace proposed. The first is maxim of quantity. What is maxim quantity? Where a person tries to be as informative as possible and provides as much information as needed and nothing more. Then the second is the maxim of quality, where a person tries to be honest and does not provide false or unsupported information. And then the relation maxims, where someone tries to be relevant and says things that are relevant to the discussions. The last maxim is maxim of manner, when one tries to be as clear, concise, and orderly in what is said, and where one avoids ambiguity and ambiguity. And then the last is cooperative conversation. The first is definition of cooperative. In Pragmatics, the cooperative principle explains how humans can communicate effectively in conversation in a general social situation. This principle explained how speakers act cooperative and accept each other to understand in a certain way. Second is principle of cooperative. The cooperative principle describes how people achieve effective conversational communication in common social situation, that is, how listeners and speakers act cooperatively and mutually achieve one another to be understood in a particular way. And I have example of cooperative in dialogue. There is a example cooperative in dialogue, the lighter side of the cooperative principle. It is Sheldon Cooper and her friend, and the friend is Leonard Hofstadter. So you guys can read the example from cooperative conversation. I think you can read the example well. So the last, I have a benefit. The benefit by learning these 3 terms, we can learn to communicate well with others, and the process of communicating goes well, and we also learn to give the right information to others according to what happened, and also sufficiently in responding to something. So guys, maybe that's all I can explain. If there were mistakes, I'm so sorry, and thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.